everyone. So today I thought I would do a update video to update you guys on what's been going on with me. A couple weeks ago I had a really scary incident happen to me, which is why I haven't been making videos or vlogs or anything. FYI, this story is a little TMI, so if you don't want to hear all the details, then I suggest you don't watch the video. Yeah, just putting that out there. I think it was around 2 or 3 weeks now. I was taking a shower one night and I felt normal, everything was fine. And I was taking a shower and I was about to be done with my shower actually. And suddenly I felt like a leak come out of me, and that was kind of like, that was weird. So I looked down and I didn't see anything at first, and so I thought, okay, maybe it was just pee or something. I don't know. I thought maybe that sometimes happens when you're pregnant or something. I don't know. I wasn't sure, but I thought, okay, that was weird, but whatever. Then a second later, I looked back down and I noticed a lot of blood like running down. Of course, I immediately freaked out and I was like, okay, I'm bleeding, and I was scared and I was worried. So I immediately turned off the shower and I was like, okay, maybe, you know, it's gonna go away or something, I don't know. So then I took my leg out of the tub, and as soon as I did, just more blood was like running down my legs, and I was just like, okay, this is scary and it's a lot of blood. So I was freaking out and I didn't know what to do because I've never been in that situation before, and I was scared and worried for my baby. I had my phone with me, luckily, because I always take it with me to the shower in case I will listen to music or something. So I grabbed my phone and I called my mom. She was downstairs. At first my phone didn't even want to work because my hands were still wet, and I just had like a towel wrapped around myself. And so I called my mom. I told her, you know, can you come upstairs please, it's an emergency. And she rushed upstairs and I opened the door for her and I told her, Mom, I'm bleeding. And she was like, is it a lot? And then like I literally opened the door and showed her, and she freaked out too because she saw all the blood was on the floor and on the bathroom mat and, you know, on my legs. And she was like, okay, you need to go to the hospital, like get dressed, you know. And she told me to put on a pad and get dressed and go to the hospital ASAP. And at first I told her, well, maybe it'll stop because I have heard of, you know, bleeding happening in the first trimester, but from what I read, it was mostly like spotting or light bleeding. Then I thought about it and I was like, okay, she's right, I need to go because it's a lot of blood and I don't want anything to happen to my baby. And I was scared that maybe I was having a miscarriage. Usually when I see blood, I freak out, I get lightheaded, and, you know, I get scared and panic. This time my adrenaline just kicked in and I didn't even think about that, and I was just concerned for my baby and my baby's well-being. So I got dressed as soon as possible. My hair was still wet, I wasn't wearing any makeup, and I just rushed, grabbed my stuff. I grabbed my bag, I grabbed my wallet. We headed to the hospital and we still had to wait, and I was just like worried and concerned, and I wasn't sure if I was still bleeding or not, or if I was bleeding a lot still. And, you know, they still made us wait because I had to get registered in their system because I've never been to the hospital before. So we're waiting and I was worried, you know, I was just thinking and praying, like, I hope everything's okay, you know, I wonder if I'm still bleeding, what's gonna happen, you know. And then I remember they checked my blood pressure and my heart rate, and they told me that my heart rate was really high because I was scared, you know. And I told them, I was like, well, I'm really scared and nervous and worried. And they were like, okay, we'll just take some deep breaths, you know, because your heart rate is really high. And I'm the type of person who's like super scared and worried on the inside, but on the outside I look totally calm. So then we sat down for a while, and then a while later they finally called me in. I wasn't allowed to bring anybody with me because the rooms were really small. So I went in there and the doctor told me, you know, it could be normal, but it could also be a miscarriage. he told me they were gonna have to do blood tests and ultrasounds. And so they took me to a room in the back, and they hooked me up to an IV, and then they took out like 4 little tubes or vials of blood. And they also asked me for a urine test, which they weren't supposed to ask me for. The doctor hadn't requested, but I guess they just wanted to for some reason. And when I went to do the urine test, I was still bleeding. So that made me even more worried and more scared, because I was like, okay, I'm still bleeding. At that point, I thought I was having a miscarriage. I told them, like, my urine sample has a lot of blood in it, and they just said, oh, it's okay, And then later on, they told me, oh, we actually don't need a urine sample, and I was like, okay. After that was done, they told me I had to wait for the ultrasound room. And then I waited a while, so this whole time I'm sitting there and I'm super worried and I'm scared, and I'm like, my family's worried, my boyfriend's worried. I was texting him from inside the room because I had my bag with me, and I told him I didn't know what was happening. I was still waiting, and we were all concerned. We were all praying for my baby's health. I sat there just praying and hoping that everything was okay. Literally, I was shaking, like, it was so scary. I finally got to the ultrasound room, and we went to the ultrasound room, and they did 2 ultrasounds. So they did the vaginal ultrasound, and then they also did the regular ultrasound on my stomach. After that ultrasound finished, I noticed that my bleeding had kind of stopped, and it wasn't like as heavy, so I started feeling kind of like relieved. I was like, okay, well, at least the bleeding kind of slowed down, so that should be a good sign, I hope. I got dressed, and then the ultrasound technician, she walked me back to the room where I got my IV and blood work done, and she told me to wait for the doctor and that he was going to give me the results and tell me what was going on. I waited for the doctor. I was still nervous, and then I saw the doctor walking in, and I was just like praying, like, when he walked in, please, 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 please don't tell me that I lost my baby. Yeah, at that moment, I was just hoping he wasn't going to tell me that. And I held my breath. I held my breath, and I was just like, okay, hopefully it's good news. And then when he opened his mouth, and I was just like staring at him, he said, okay, everything is okay. I literally, once he said that, I sighed of relief, and I was just like smiling so big, and he was like, everything's fine, your baby's okay, we checked, and there's a heartbeat, and the baby is in there still and everything. And he said that what it was, I guess there was a small tear in my placenta, which caused the bleeding. And he said that that even though that happened, the baby was still fine, so that it should be okay. And he said that I just needed to rest and get a lot of fluids, take my vitamins, and that was it. Basically just rest. But he said the baby looked fine, the heart rate was fine, and everything seemed good. Once he told me that, I was just so happy. I just had the biggest smile on my face, and I was so thankful and relieved that the baby was okay. I just felt really happy. After that, he left, and I was just in the room with one of the nurses, and we actually had a heart-to-heart. She was telling me how she went through a miscarriage, and she basically told me the same thing the doctor did, for me to get a lot of rest, basically try to stay in bed as much as possible for like 3 weeks. They gave me my paperwork so I could go home, and I left, and I walked out of the room. My dad and my sister and my boyfriend were there waiting for me, and I walked out, and they were all looking at me, like super concerned and waiting for me to tell them what happened. And my boyfriend like asked me, like, is the baby okay? And I was like, yes, the baby is okay. And we were all super relieved. They were super relieved. And then On the way home, I just told them everything, gave them all the details of what happened, what the doctor said and everything. As soon as I got home, I listened to the doctor's orders. I just got a lot of rest. I've been getting a lot of rest actually. So I've avoided heavy lifting. I've avoided like going up and down the stairs a lot because I was doing that a lot before, going up and down the stairs. I've been drinking lots of water, like nothing but water most of the time. Water and like milk. I was feeling really bad these last couple weeks. I barely started feeling normal again, maybe like the day before yesterday. So right now I feel like myself. I feel normal again. But before that, I just felt, you know, kind of in pain, tired, frustrated because I couldn't really do much, worried, sad, all of these emotions. I'm really glad the baby is okay, and I have my first ultrasound tomorrow, so I get to see the baby. It's been really tough, but as long as the baby's okay, I'm happy. That's why I've been so MIA and I haven't been making videos, because I tried to make a video the other day and I just couldn't. Like, I started having little cramps, and as soon as I have little cramps, I get scared and I get worried like that I'm gonna start bleeding again, because I did have spotting a couple of days after that whole incident happened, but it was just spotting and it went away pretty quickly. So whenever I get little cramps, I get worried, and I make sure, you know, I immediately go check that there's no bleeding. I still have, I think, a week or less until my first trimester is over, and so far everything feels good. I haven't had any more bleeding and I feel normal. I have my little bump. Now that I'm starting to feel good again and normal, I'm going to try to get back into making more videos and vlogging again. Anyways, yeah, that's everything that I wanted to tell you guys. I just wanted to make this update video to let you guys know what happened and why I've been just gone. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!